That is him with his family, and if you can tell, you can see he is looking down and smiling at his granddaughter. Now, this is a family. The Trump family, they're about family, but not just theirs, ours too. They're about our families too. And I just wanted you to see that I thought that was a sweet emotion there. Okay, next one, Kelly. And then that just goes to show you what he's seeing while he was speaking. This is what he's looking at, and of all the people that are there to support him. And that's him speaking, of course. Next one. His lovely wife. Next one. And I thought this was really sweet, him hugging his daughter. And the next picture, I went straight to Trump to see what his expression, and that's the first time I actually saw him smile since he came into the convention. He was smiling at what his granddaughter had said about him. I thought that was sweet. And that is people that I was sitting right behind that guy with his fist up, and they were saying, fight, fight, fight. And that was Trump turning around, clapping at us. Okay, next one. Okay, I actually got to sit on Monday night at the VIP section where Trump and all of his family sat. So that was amazing. I sat kind of by Trump, and that's the little pass that they give you. And the next picture, I think it is, I was sitting right behind her. So that was the highlight of the trip for me. Okay, what's the next one here? And that is how close I was to him. That's the closest I got. And that was at the end after the balloon drop. All right. And okay, leave it there for now. Okay, so I'm going to try to get into this real quick. I'm going to tell you my experience. It's not the typical one that you would think a person would have after getting elected as a South Carolina delegate. So after I was elected and we had a meeting where we were supposed to have a meeting, they said it was an informational meeting that came from the SCGOP. There was no mention of voting for anything in this email, so we had no idea what was supposed to take place. So I get a phone call the week before this meeting is supposed to take place on May 18th from a Trump campaign person, somebody that works for Trump, and they asked me, were you told about voting for the committee, for the people that are supposed to be on the committees at the RNC or for any other position? And I'm like, no, I had no idea. So long story short, I got asked to be on Trump's slate. He endorsed me to be on the Permanent Organization Committee, along with other people as well that were on the slate. So we had our meeting on the 18th at 9:30. It was unanimously voted. Trump's slate was voted in. Okay, so at 10 o'clock, Jim McKissick had his meeting. It did not go well. So we came in not knowing what was going on. We thought it was informational. We came in, we weren't really given any instruction on what to do. So after we got in there, they said, oh, by the way, delegates are over here, alternates are over here, alternates can't vote. So everybody was scrambling around, and the ballots were not given to us in an envelope. They were found on the table. They were on the tables. So anybody really could have gotten them. So by the time I got over there, the seats were pretty full. I didn't have any ballots, and I tried to tell Drew's staff that I needed ballots, and they ignored me. And by the way, my name was already on the slate. I was told Drew had me checked out, so he already knew I was on the slate against his slate. So I was not allowed to vote. I was not given any ballots and did not get to vote as a delegate, as a national delegate in that room that day. Until the very last vote, I finally they gave me ballots where I could vote in the last one, but they did not go back to redo anything. They said it doesn't matter, it won't make any difference. So you talk about rules. Well, rules were made up that day. So we actually contested. Some people stood up and say, hey, we already did this vote. We already had this vote. And Drew said it was illegitimate and that it didn't count, and he was running the show. Someone else stood up about 5 minutes later, said the same thing. We already voted for this. He said, how many times do I got to tell you I'm running the show here? That was an illegitimate meeting. This is my meeting, and this is what we're doing. and we have it on video. So this is not my opinion. This is not my perception of what happened. This is what happened. I have a 113-page legal document that backs up everything I'm telling you tonight. And I am not here to trash Drew or anyone else that participated in these meetings, but this is the truth. I want you to know what we're up against, what's really happening for those who don't know. You need to know who is running your state. You need to know who you're representing. And I'm about to tell you, that sign, did any of you look for that? Did you look for South Carolina on TV? Did you see us? No, I'll tell you why. We were punished. We were shoved in the very back and punished because they were tired of the South Carolina leadership interfering with the RNC. We were put in the back. So I want you to think about something while I'm telling you the rest of this story. We were punished in collateral damage for what the leadership of South Carolina did. Drew McKissick and Chad Connolly and all of them involved in this legal case, they made a lot of people mad high up places. And this is what happens. Your whole state gets punished. So how long do you guys want to be collateral damage to the nefarious acts of Drew McKissick? How long do you want to be punished? How long does the state of South Carolina want to be punished for what our leadership does? Okay? And I went head-to-head, toe-to-toe in a legal battle with Drew McKissick, Chad Connolly, and the other ones that were involved in this. I had a lawyer, and we had, from the time, probably within 2 weeks after the meeting in May, the whole month of June, right up until the week before, the days before the convention, I was in this legal battle, back and forth with Drew and Chad and the others that were involved in this. This is crazy stuff, and we're not the only state. Other states had to go through legal battle as well. I'm an American first, patriot, okay? I'm very committed to this. I'm very committed to getting Trump back into office, to where I put my job, and this is what I do. This is how I commit my time. And he wanted to replace me with somebody who did not support Trump. He wanted to replace me on that committee at the RNC with somebody who supported Tim Scott and Nikki Haley. And so anyway, I'll try to get through this real quick, but trying to lay all the groundwork here. We went through the legal battle. The RNC, their contest committee, sided with us. And it was me and two other people that Drew was trying to replace. So they sided with us and told Drew no, which he is not used to hearing. But he got no, not only once, but 3 times.
Yes, he did.
Then Chad Connolly this again. So I know what happened at the EC meeting that Scott was talking about. It's horrible. And yeah, we still have a battle. But it can be done because he lost that one big time at the RNC. He didn't get to say anything. They didn't use him. And really, being put in the back, we were punished because of that. And also, during my research that I had given information, I had to do an affidavit to the lawyer, all this stuff. Will you go to that crew picture, Helen? All right, you see that? And it says the Drew crew, okay? Now, I've always thought that was kind of a nickname that we just called people that were, his followers. We called them the Drew crew. But it's an actual thing that I found out. This is on someone's Facebook page on the lady that they were going to try and replace me with on the committee. And I've noticed doing research, other people, this is on their Facebook page. So just to let you know, if you come across somebody and not quite sure where they stand, go to their Facebook page, see if they have one of those on there. That will help you a little bit to identify them. So anyway, we did win that battle, but there's lots more that we have to win. There's lots more that we have to fight. And I wanted to share my story. This is, like I said, not an opinion. This actually happened. And I'm not here to trash anyone, or I'm just here to tell you the truth, because you need to know these people are not for you. They're not for South Carolina. They are not for your families or to protect your children. They are not. And it's time that I was telling Larry, I got a new motto: reveal, remove, and replace. That's what we have to do. Before I do new business, I want to give you guys an update. Many of you helped and came several times to the county council to protest the books that are in our public libraries. I want you to know that that effort has been ongoing, okay? And by November, I think we will have a majority on the public library board, okay, in York County. The conservatives were having the same, okay? So the second thing is, the Education Committee worked very hard over the past 2 years to identify books in our school media centers that were inappropriate, okay? So over the summer, I have taken that list of over 1,000 books. I have run it through the data system of the public library, and those 4 members who constitute the majority know which books are in our public libraries that need to be parental guidance, okay? We are not book burners. We are not book banners. We are simply people that say these books fail the obscenity laws of South Carolina, and they need to be a parental guidance property, and you need to make that decision for your minor child. So going forward this year, the Education Committee has 3 objectives. 4. We're not going to do face-to-face meetings because that takes too much time, so that's my 4th objective. Number 1 is we are going to persevere with getting these nasty books out of our school media centers, okay? Now, over the course of the last legislative session, the South Carolina Board of Education and Superintendent Ellen Weaver passed a proviso, and we are hoping that they're going to make it into law, so it will be a permanent law, but we have 1 year on this proviso to get rid of these books out of our school libraries. And we are not going to be sending a 50-page document on every book. The proviso says that every person gets 5 books a month. Well, guess what? If every one of you in here send 1 email, and I will tell you exactly who to send it to and exactly what to say, if you will send 1 email, we will get rid of these books, okay? Because we know how to do it, and now we've got the guns to do it, okay? That's number 1. Alice Bright. Alice, could you stand up? Alice has a list that I made up, and if you are interested in working on that initiative, please come over and sign your name and your email address very clearly, okay? Because we're going to do all of this by email. We're not going to have these stupid meetings. So, nobody's got time for it. My gosh. And also I put on there every school that has nasty books in it, okay? So you write beside your name what school you want to concentrate on, and I'll make sure you have the right information, okay? All right, so Alice has that list. Number 2, we are going to concentrate on the curriculum. We have 2 bills that were left in committee, 3728, and I believe it's 4289, both having to do with under school. What is it, Ryan? Is it?
Yeah, 4289 was the DEI.
In colleges. Right. Yeah, DEI, the 4289 is DEI in colleges, and 3728 is about transparency and education in lower elementary and high schools, okay? So Aaron Adamek has the list, and if you are interested in that, we are going to deluge our legislators to pass those 2 bills, okay? So what I need on that list is your precinct, because I need to know who your representative and all that stuff is, because we are not going to stop until these bills are passed, okay? The third initiative is a new thing, but I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I've talked at great length with Sherry Feud, who is the president of the United States Parents Involved in Education, which is a national organization. And we are going to work with this national organization. There's already a bill in the South Carolina legislature that has no legs under it. It has no sponsorship, but it was written specifically for school choice to keep the government out of our private schools and our parochial schools by giving people tax credits
to send their kids to school where they want to go. All right? So half the work is done. The bill is already written. It's on the books, but it has no legs, okay? So we're going to, Ryan Knobloch has that list, and we need your precinct on that list too, because we are going to deluge our elected officials, and we are going to start getting the government money out of our school, okay? So this, if everybody in here will just help, I promise you, it's just a few emails, okay? But we need your help. The last thing I want to say is this. When I finished doing this book review thing for the York County Library, I was so sick over this. It was toxic. I felt like I was in a toxic cloud every day. And I did this, I've been doing this all summer, because I didn't just look and see if the book was in the public library. I pulled every book by that same author. I went to every place I could go on the internet to get this council the information they need in order to support the putting these books into a separate place. Our children are cannon fodder, okay? They are nothing more than cannon fodder for these Marxists, these communists, okay? So listen, I know it's important at the top level. I walked 2 neighborhoods over the last 2 weeks for Trump in Charlotte. I'll be walking another neighborhood this weekend for Trump in Charlotte. I know that's important. But these people that are running for school board, they're on the front line. So if you've got an extra dime or an hour to spare, these people need your help, okay?
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, York County GOP, for having me. I was advised by somebody who's a PR specialist to remove my glasses and show you all my face, and I'm sure that would be wonderful if I could do that, but y'all don't look like a superficial group, and I do like to be able to see, so I'm going to put on my glasses. All right. They say glasses make you look smarter, so maybe you'll believe I'm smarter. So I am Ellen Abramo, and I am running for the Fort Mill School Board. My husband, Don, and I have 6 kids, no twins, and they're all ours. And then we got a TV. I was wondering if that would stick. I know. But seriously, I'm a South Carolina native. I was born in Columbia, raised in Florence. I attended school in Greenville, where I met my husband, worked in Anderson, and then we had an intermission out of state, and we probably tried 3 or 4 times to get back to Fort Mill, and it finally stuck in 2021, so I'm very thankful for that. My family history in South Carolina goes back generations, actually back to its founding, and so I have deep roots in this community. And I don't know if you know this, but only 2 out of the 7 Fort Mill School Board trustees actually have a background in education. But education is in my DNA. And my grandfather was superintendent of schools in Charleston County. My mother was an award-winning teacher and also administrator here in South Carolina. My father was a nationally certified guidance counselor, actually received the 9th national certificate given out. And so that passion for education trickled down to me. I excelled in school. I attended the South Carolina Governor's School for Science and Mathematics.
Very good.
Thank you. Honestly, if they'd had the one for the arts, I probably would have gone to that one. So. But it was very good and allowed me to get a scholarship to Furman University, where I met my husband. And I started out as an art major, but then switched to elementary education, following in my family's footsteps. And while I was teaching in Anderson School District 1, I was actually part of a pilot program at Furman University for 5th year majors to receive a master's and be employed in a school district. So I was able to get my master's in 1 year doing that. And I taught kindergarten, 2nd grade. I've taught all the way up to 5th grade, been on an IEP committee, and currently I'm the advisor for a high school honors society. So that's a new venture for me.
I'm still currently teaching, just a slightly modified role, but 4th and 5th grade combined. 4 out of 6 of our children actually have attended Fort Mill schools, and one of them is still at Catawba Ridge High School. We have had to homeschool, especially with the shutdown, and I have experience now teaching in a hybrid model of school. So we're in session a couple days, we're homeschooling at home a few days, and that's working out really good for our children who had some learning gaps as a result of the shutdown. So why run for school board with all this going on? I think I forgot to tell you, our oldest daughter is getting married here in October. So we have a lot of things going on, but I believe I have a diverse background, and this unique perspective coming from public, private, and homeschool allows me the ability to engage with parents and teachers. Also, I understand why a lot of people are moving from out of state to South Carolina. I understand the kind of situations they were faced with in the shutdown and why Fort Mill would be so desirable with its wonderful schools. So I feel like I can relate to people both from South Carolina and moving here, and I can be a bridge for all those different stakeholders. So if you are curious about my platform, it can be summed up with the word care. I like mnemonics. I guess it's a teaching thing. And that boils down to communication, accountability, responsibility, and educators. I'd like to add an S on the end of that now with safety, because that is a big one in our school district right now. So communication between stakeholders, I believe, should be effective and open. It's the foundation of trust and collaboration. I'm committed to engaging with parents and teachers and local businesses to create a vision, a shared vision for our district. I believe that teachers' expertise should be valued. I believe that parents' concerns should be heard. And our community should always be kept in the loop. So when we ask the public to vote on something like the school calendar, the options presented, the result hopefully would be one of the options presented in the vote, things like that. So transparency isn't just a goal, it's a necessity. Accountability and responsibility kind of go hand in hand. So, as a board member, I'll be responsible for the decisions made by the school board, and I would like to focus on solutions rather than blame. And we need to live within our means. And also, I think with the shutdown and all the students moving in from outside, there are a lot of children who are faced with severe learning gaps and some needs that weren't met when schools were hybrid or online. So that's going to create a real issue for school boards, and we need to be accountable. We shouldn't be afraid of showing the drop in the scores as a result. I mean, in order to face the problems that we have, we need to face them head on. We need to be realistic about it. So, it wouldn't, I don't believe, knock our reputation in Fort Mill from being the best school district in the state. I think it shows that we're very conscientious of the issues that we're faced at the moment and striving to solve those problems. So R is for responsibility, and I believe in being a good steward of taxpayer dollars. We've had 3 tax increases over the last 3 years, and we've also taken out a lot of bonds, and I would like to work with the other board members to try to scrutinize these expenditures and eliminate waste so that we can allocate funds more efficiently and help ensure that taxpayer money benefits our students and teachers directly. E is for educators, and our district's success hinges on our educators. We need to create an environment that attracts and retains exceptional teachers. We need to offer competitive salaries, professional development with an emphasis on professionalism. We need to provide a supportive work culture and a safe and orderly learning environment. I've heard from teachers they're having trouble with discipline in the classroom, and sometimes they try to handle it, they're not being backed up by administrators, or sometimes they try to call parents and parents don't want to be bothered. And I gotta say, that's not acceptable from our parents either. Parents do need to step up, and we need to realize teachers can't teach and students can't learn if the classroom is not a safe environment. So we need to make sure that happens. And now we're faced with the additional issue of CILFAB and what are we going to do in case of an emergency. So that's going to create an additional burden on students and teachers and families in the area. So I'm trying to talk fast and get through this. I'm not a fast talker. But so I want to share with you now, if you are interested in voting for me or if you'd like to tell your friends about me, I would very much appreciate that. And I'd also like to share a strategy with you. I am asking, even though there are 3 seats open and you could vote for 3 people, to just do this thing. Don't vote for 3. Vote for me. And I'll tell you why. Because every vote for another candidate actually dilutes your vote for me. And the candidates that I'm faced up with have a strong base. So if you believe that somebody like me should be on the board, I ask you to take a long, hard thought. You would take it to God, pray about it, but consider voting just for me. And I think that we can do some great things. We can make sure that our vision, our values, our voices are heard. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. Now that's done. I'm Matt Ayers, and again, I'm running for seat 1 in Rock Hill School District 3 for school board. A little bit about myself. I've been a Rock Hill resident since 1987. I'm a product of Rock Hill schools. I came through Richmond Drive Elementary, Sullivan Middle School, and Northwestern. Graduated in 2001 from the Citadel down in Charleston and did some postgraduate work here at Winthrop University in education. My wife Ashley and I, we have 2 daughters, 2 19-year-olds. I was going to kind of make the joke before Ellen stole my thunder. I was going to say I'm going to pass the hat because I've got 2 19-year-olds in college, but she has 6. So, yeah, she beat me. Our girls go to USC and Clemson. We're also foster parents, have been for the last 6 years. And I unabashedly say that the bedrock of our family is Jesus Christ and our merciful God. Okay. During the day, I'm employed by Williams and Fudge here in Rock Hill. I'm over the building and operations. So on the corner of Dave Lyle and White Street, that big brick red building, I'm the one that tries to keep it standing during the day. It was built in 1881, so it's a lot of work. Also, if you've heard my voice, maybe on WRHI or OTS Media, I'm a high school football broadcaster on Friday nights. Also, I have a podcast as well. We also produce, I'm the producer for Winthrop Athletics and weekend programming producer as well as a small business owner. So I got to do that because I got 2 kids at college. My community involvement is pretty broad and wide. I'm a member of the South Carolina High School League's executive committee. I've been on there for about 1.5 years, and I've been able to get a lot done with my colleagues there. Anybody that's involved in that or know, we're the ones that passed the 3 times multiplier. If you're familiar with that, I'll speak to you afterwards if you're not. Also had the honor of making the motion to desegregate the South Carolina High School League record books this past year to include all black schools from prior to 1971. Their records were not acknowledged up to that point. So that's something we're pretty proud of. I volunteer with the Rock Hill Schools Education Foundation with our Back to Pack program to help with food insecurity for our students that go home. And there are quite a few on the weekends, sadly, that go home and they don't have a meal Friday through Monday morning. We pack those bags for them with enough meals and sustenance to go through the weekend, and unfortunately, it's about 2,000 a week that get those bags. I also volunteer with their student celebration, the Grant Patrol for educators. I'm a former School Improvement Council president at the elementary school here in Rock Hill. I'm a volunteer mentor and lunch buddy at the Rock Hill schools at Ebenezer Avenue Elementary. And I can be found there on Fridays because that's when they serve square pizza. So I'm all about that. And for $2.50, you can't beat it. Also a volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. My wife and I are both statewide speakers on alcohol and drug prevention to churches, to youth groups, and to statewide agencies. And I'm also a proponent and supporter of the Rock Hill Boxing Club. If any of you have ever heard of that, I'm not sure, but it's ran by Alonzo Lumpkin. He's a former classmate of mine, and what they do is take in children from the neighborhood, or from the south side of Rock Hill, teach them discipline, teach them self-confidence, and it's amazing. You see these meek young boys come in, and when you walk in the door, they walk right up to you and they say, "Hi, I'm Marcus, who are you?" And shake your hand, look you in the eye, and that's refreshing. He does a lot of great work over there. Well, my district that I'm running for is unique. This is the first contested race since its existence. It's been over 30 years. The same family has held this seat, the mother for quite a while, and the daughter, and they are both very kind people. But things are proving ineffective on our side of town. My district is 66% low income. It's 69% minority and 23% single parent homes. So why am I running? My kids need help on this side of town. They really do. It's an ugly world. We've got a world that's dominated by social media. Social media makes our children insecure. It makes them self-conscious, and unfortunately, sometimes it makes them suicidal. That's the facts. Our students on this side of town, they deserve a voice. They deserve somebody that'll stand up for them, stand up for what's right. They need their prospects improved for the future. They need opportunities. We need to prepare our students for life, to become productive citizens that can bring value back to our community, can bring value back to the south side, back to the East Town and Rock Hill, and bring this community up. I'm sick and tired. I'm running because I'm sick and tired of, on Saturday mornings, looking and seeing my friends that I've grown up with, live in my district, posting about another shooting on Southside Rock Hill. Another kid overdosing on opioids or fentanyl. Another kid taking their own life. I can't put up with that. They've poked the bear and now I'm awake. It's just becoming a travesty here on this side of town. My plan starts with, of course, safety, internet safety. Teaching our children from a young age what's appropriate, almost like the Don't Talk to Strangers campaign we had in the 1980s. Just say no, but we got to do it on the internet. We've got to teach these kids that predators are out there and they're hunting for them. School safety, but with our school facilities, actually. There are schools on my side of town in this district that I'm representing that don't have the same safety features as on the other side of town. That ain't right. Also, school safety in the restrooms. He's right, restroom. You know what I mean. Now, as a public school, we owe a responsibility to all our students, and accommodations have been made for those students, and those accommodations need to be accepted. Special treatment's not entitled to. Also, we talked about libraries, pornography in libraries, obscene materials in libraries. That's out. We need to create opportunities through involvement for our students, get them engaged. The more a child has to do after school, the more they have to do to look forward to, the better they're going to do in the classroom. I'm talking about clubs, activities, civic groups such as Scouts, Jack and Jill, athletics. That is going to teach a lot of kids a lot of things. If you've ever been inside a football locker room, there's no racism in a locker room. Everybody's working for one goal. Everybody's looking out for your brother on the other side of you. That's what we got to get back to in our Rock Hill schools. And when it comes to athletics, you learn a lot of lessons. You learn how to work together. You learn how to win together. But I think it's very important that you learn how to lose. I think a child can learn a lot more looking through a teardrop than they can looking at a participation trophy.
Okay.
We need to beef up our... Sir, write it down.
Wind it down.
Wind it down, okay? Well, we need... I was getting ready to preach. I was getting ready to get started. Well, we need to beef up financial literacy in our schools. We need to teach these children on our side of town about credit, about interest rates, how you can make that work for you, how to reconcile a checkbook, why you need to have savings and how to save for your future. Also plans to partner with community business and nonprofits and ATC, which is, develops the job skills in Rock Hill schools to let them learn how to do more with their hands than just text. I've got a lot more. I've got a website, matthires.com. That's MATTHIERS.com. Also, I'm sure there's a lot of questions for me that a lot I've answered before the meeting. I will be available here as long as the building's open and in the parking lot afterwards. So, all right. Thank you, Ben.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Natalie Bergen, and I'm running for school board. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not from around here. I was born in the Soviet Union. I learned about oppression when I was 6 months old. There was no religion allowed. It didn't matter if you're Jewish or Christian. It was simply not allowed. So it was time for me to be baptized. My parents drove me 60 miles outside of town where I live in. And then, in the middle of the night, in the local church, I was baptized. There was no white gown, there was no pictures. If authorities would have discovered that I was baptized, my parents could have went to jail for the rest of their life. In the church books, I was written under different name to preserve confidentiality. So that was my start. I went to a public school, and just like every Soviet child, I was told that America is really bad, and socialism is the only way to live. When I was a teenager, Soviet Union had collapsed, and things have changed overnight. I woke up in independent Ukraine. Everything that we knew had vanished. My parents' salaries weren't paid. Our savings disappeared. So we, city folk, had to learn to grow crops to survive. And we also lived on pasta for a year because my parents were paid in pasta. Money was not an object then. Fast forward, and I came to the United States. I came legally with $500 in my pocket. So I met a wonderful man. We got married, and God blessed us with a baby boy. When it was time for my son to go to school, I enrolled him in a public school. I thought they're the best. We lived in New York at that time. So everything was good. I trusted the process. I was completely hands-off parent. At the end of kindergarten, I was advised that my son is below grade level for reading. Therefore, the easiest thing to do will be simply make him to retake the kindergarten. I refused. I read with my son 20 minutes a day whole summer. When he came back to school, he tested in the third grade reading level. COVID time, and this is where I truly got to see what and how our kids are being taught. It was a little scary. My son came home with the bracelet, and she told me it was an exercise they did in school. It was very simple. If you have mom and dad, you add one bead to the bracelet. If you have parents that grew up in the neighborhood with the same color people, you add another bead to that bracelet. If your parents have high education, you add another bead. The more beads you have on your bracelet, the more oppressor you are. And this was the moment when my husband and I understood
For safety and the future of our son, we no longer can stay in New York. I spent a year traveling all over the United States and doing extensive research to determine where can we go and what place could we call home. We've chosen Clover for its conservative values, for an amazing people, and for great schools. So my son got enrolled in the public school. I immediately got active in the community. I joined parent-teacher associations, school advisory board, committees, and I also started to partner with parents and with administrations on the issues that were concerning to our families. One of the things, to give example, was working with Linda Fisher and her team. It was last year. We did the research. We determined books in the Clover School libraries. I was able to organize parental forum with administration, and they were open to discuss those concerns. As a result of that work, in Clover School libraries in the middle school, young adult books are now in a different section, and parents have to written permission give to school in order for children to review those books or to take them out. And not only that, and with the kids way, yes. In the book fairs, the young adult books are no longer allowed, so they would not be exposing kids to those books. We thought we got a great way. Some people were not happy, so as Linda mentioned, I was named the book burner. You know, if that's the title, I'm happily owning it. Clover is a fantastic place. Our schools are amazing. They are rated really highly in South Carolina as well as the United States. But taking scores is not good enough. How we teach our kids, what materials we use is very important. Right now, teachers on the same grade level get together, and they are the only people who make determination what materials will be used, what books kids would be reading. This has to stop. It has to change. We need to have check and balance in place. Those are our kids. Communication is very important, and transparent and timely communication is even more important. Clover School District have been doing a really good job lately in communicating with parents, and I have to compliment them on that. But it would be helpful to improve further in that area. For us parents, it would be really nice to know what's going on before our kids came home and told us their version of a story, or before we learned it on social media. So that, I think, is the area districts should be working on. And that brings me to a key point of safety and security. We do all know that safety and security of our kids and the faculty member is at most priority. For the past couple years, Clover had some alarming incidents. To name just few, there was a homeless man sleeping in the middle school premises, and we also had students bringing guns to school. District have responded. They're working on putting safety measures and periodic sweeps, as well as detectors. But that's not enough. Bullying is a very big issue, and it has to be addressed. I numerously talked to district about bullying, and I was advised that this is a parental job to teach kids how to stand up to bullying. With all due respect, if district can teach our kids sexual education, they surely should be able to teach bullying and how to stand to them as well. What sets me apart is that I'm not a native Clover resident. I understand phenomenal things Clover has to offer, as well as areas for improvement. I do have educational experience. I'm not bringing it up because in Clover, we have phenomenal educators and we have great administrators. What we truly need at a school board is a parental representation. I am running for school boards to preserve what Clover has to offer and to make sure that New York, California, or Soviet Union is not happening in Clover. So if you value well-rounded classical education, safety and security of our kids, transparent communication, and putting kids and families first, please vote for me. Spread the word, join my team, donate, and together we can make sure that Clover will be even better place to live. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see this turnout. This is quite a bit bigger, I think, than the normal crowd. So it's great. Sorry. So it's great to see so many faces. It's good to be involved. We've got a lot of work to do. My name's Kevin Johnson. I know lots of you. There's lots I don't know. Some people call me KJ. Y'all call me KJ too, and that's great. As Larry said, I'm running for Clover School Board. I'm the at-large seat in 2024. A little bit about me. My family and I, my wife and I, had 2 daughters at the time. We've relocated from Sacramento, California. My daughter was going to be going into kindergarten in the fall of 2019, and after being born and raised in California, almost 35 years there at that time, we just couldn't stay there. It's like Natalie just said. It was just weren't having it. So by the grace of God, somehow we ended up in Lake Wiley, Clover. It's those same sentiments that Natalie just mentioned: the freedom, the location, the Southern hospitality. Thanks to all you South Carolina originals. Appreciate y'all. And then of course the schools. We saw the online ratings. We read review after review after review. We came out here and visited for almost a week. We talked to a bunch of residents, and you couldn't find a bad thing from anybody to say about Clover schools. It felt like we were in some kind of utopia. It was weird. So fall of 2019 was great. My oldest was in kindergarten. Everything was going as it should. And then, hello, COVID. That was fun, huh? Yeah.
Weird.
One of the blessings, at least, of COVID was we learned a whole lot of things, didn't we? For better or for worse. And, so I really started getting involved in Clover schools in the following year, actually coming back around in like the beginning of 2021. And we were still doing all the mask and the hiding behind plexiglass and social distancing, and I could see it in my kid. It was stripping the life out of it, and I couldn't take it anymore. So I started going to all the school board meetings. I was reaching out to the superintendent. I was reaching out to the board members, but nobody really wanted to do anything. They all just wanted to say, "I'm one person. DHEC's saying this. The federal government says that. We can't do anything. Our hands are tied." And in my book, that's not good enough. So, that was sort of like our awakening moment. And shortly after that, we got a list of books for Read Week. And I remember growing up, and they were all Dr. Seuss books. But then we got this list, and there wasn't one. Well, where'd Dr. Seuss go? And it was replaced by some ideology, some far-off land that I don't want to be part of. So, we reached out on that and found out that basically one person had the sole discretion of putting together this list of books that kids were going to read. Nobody was like double checking that they were appropriate in any way, shape, or form. And that was concerning, right? So we just kept seeing concern after concern after concern, to the point where we finally said, okay, at the end of the school year, we might have to evaluate what we're going to do here. Is this starting to feel like, California, but, maybe 10 years or so back, right? Like there's still a gap, don't get me wrong. So we actually, but come fall of 2021, we decided to homeschool our kids. Since then, we've been blessed with 3 more, so we're raising 5 kids. My youngest is not even 2 weeks old now, so pretty busy. Trying to squeeze all this in at the same time. That's fun. But, you know, I do, similar to Natalie was saying, like, despite all this stuff that's happening, there's a lot of wonderful things with the school district. You know, a lot of their programs are bar none. Their overall academic excellence is great. It's up there amongst the best in the state consistently. Oftentimes it's right up there, some of the best in the country, which is great. But we've still got these concerns, and the default practice seems to just keep over here to this left-leaning policies, and they don't tell anybody about it. They don't invite parents in. It's very restrictive. There's no transparency. You know, God forbid an issue happens and then they have to scramble around to sweep everything under the rug. It's very, very toxic. It's not good for kids. So that's kind of how I've gotten involved is the biggest thing that I think is we really need to be focused on parental rights. At the moment, it's practically non-existent. And like I said, I got 5 kids, and my wife and I know what's best for our kids. And a lot of this stuff that they're trying to integrate and not tell us about, that stuff's destructive, okay? And so, you know, what I'm really advocating for is we got to get in there and get in front of this stuff, and we need to be getting policies to keep this garbage out of the schools, whether it's the sexual stuff, CRT stuff, social emotional learning, all those things. So it's education, not indoctrination. I know a lot of people get freaked out when somebody like me says that. The truth is, it's not just education over indoctrination just for the kids. That's for teachers too, because they too are getting plagued by this stuff. And so it needs to be taken off of their platforms as well. So, you know, if I'm elected to school board, I'll be steadfast, unwavering. I'm going to hold the line for parents. I'm going to bring together a collaboration of parents and teachers, administrators, other community stakeholders, and you know, we'll see where the cookie crumbles.
And we're not running against each other.
We are not running against each other. Just to clarify, thank you. I've got a couple flyers on the table in the back if anybody wants to QR code to get to my webpage, or my Facebook's on there as well. I don't have pamphlets like everybody else because technically I wasn't really supposed to be running. I was supposed to be moving out of the school district up until like 3 weeks ago. I would have been just south. I would have been in York 1, but, you know, God put me here. So here we go. God bless.